Today will be, first let me introduce myself. I'm the CEO of Exquitech, a company born in the cloud since 2011, focusing on data modernization and Microsoft Cloud Services. So today we will be discussing quickly and briefly the correlation between the modern applications and whether it's under Microsoft or third-party applications with Azure and the data modernization solutions that are present there. So, and we will discuss the value of it, and we have some use cases, as you mentioned. If we will have time at the end to go over them, practical use cases that we have done, and we made use of all those benefits and values that Azure is providing. So I will start first by giving a quick introduction about that. So nowadays, as you know, data modernization is being used a lot on Azure under many umbrellas, under many solutions, which we will be stating part of them in the next slide. So the value of it is that today many of the SMB sector and many of the companies are starting to use a low-code system like Power Platform, which is one now of the most famous collaboration tools and a tool to be used for digitalization, forms, and workflows. So we want to state the value and the extended value that Azure data is providing to this tool. For example, when it comes to many complex calculations that are happening in the back end, when it comes to big data being centralized and being integrated with many systems, whether under Microsoft or any third-party systems, we are using data modernization on Azure to collect this data under a data warehouse on Azure and under a database. And then we are performing all the calculations and the complex calculations using Azure functions and cognitive services. The thing is that now Azure sits in the middle of all those solutions that SMBs are working on. You know that nowadays many systems are there. We might be using a human resource system, which is different than our CRM system, which is different than our ERP system. So we are using the data modernization to just correlate and collaborate among all those systems into one place to make use of this data. You know that today data is there's a big value for data, and many of us and many companies are not using those data to the most of it and to get some nice analytics and forecasting on their business. So with this data modernization, we are able to capture from any source. There's always a way to capture using different functions, different solutions present on Azure, to take those data and take them to the next level, which is the analysis and the systems.
What I've seen when I go to teams out there, the SMBs out there, they're saying, well, what I've got today, just don't touch that and build something on the side and then migrate it. In other words, don't mess with what I've got because I've built a $100 million business with my current stuff. And now what you're going to say is I can optimize, I can save costs, I can future-proof you, I can build on all of those elements. Those are the things you're selling. So how does this two-step process happen?
Yeah, I want to first, Lawrence, thank you for the open source. You convinced me. I wasn't a fan of an open source, so you're very good at convincing people for the open source. So we'll definitely look into it. I will start by Tariq telling you about because also I saw a question from Mariam about the ease of use and asking about what are the major repercussions for companies who are not ready to implement this today. So my answer for you and for Mariam is that the beauty of the data modernization in Azure is also in its simplicity. So it's very, very simple now with the tools that we have in hand to implement this. It's very easy to implement through Power Platform, through Power Automate, through Azure Data Factory, to make use of this data, integrate systems among each other, especially when we talk about Power Automate, where we can create a workflow. Any person, even not necessarily a developer or a technical person, can just go and through a very easy user interface build his own process, get data from a certain system, and then just pull it and centralize it within Azure SQL or Azure Postgre or any other source. If we go also for data analysis, where companies, you're saying that companies have maybe invested a lot of money in many systems and they don't want to touch that. Yes, they don't want to touch that, but they want to understand what's happening behind those systems, those data that they were kind of collecting for the last years. They want to understand and to forecast and to make use of that. So nowadays, with tools like Power BI, with many other tools, you can just create your own report. They call them self-service BI system, where you can just come collect the data from SQL, from Azure, and just create your own dashboards. So it's very easy to use. It's very simple to use, and this is the beauty of it.